Hello, welcome back to another class of our zoology. So we are entering to the last topic of this particular chapter. So about 80% we had covered, and I hope you had followed the class. And if you're finding any kind of doubt, you can contact me. Read your textbook clearly. All these things are there in your textbook. Read your textbook. Have a great touch with your textbook. Okay. So today I am introducing you another topic, that is pregnancy and embryonic development. In the last class we discussed fertilization and implantation, right? So we are going to the further details of this. Okay. So after implantation, and we discussed about trophoblast, inner cell mass, blastomeres, blastocyst and all. Correct. So keep in mind all that terms. We are going in continuation with that terms. Okay. So soon after implantation, small finger-like projection would grow on the trophoblast, and they are known as chorionic villi. They are the small finger-like projection that appear on the trophoblast. They are the chorionic villi. They will be surrounded by the uterine tissues and also the maternal blood. Clear? This chorionic villi then will have soon integrated with the uterine tissues and form a strong structural and functional unit, and it is known as placenta. You have studied about this, right? Placenta. So these two joined, the chorionic villi and the uterine tissue would join together to form the structural and functional unit known as placenta. Is that clear? And this placenta will form a functional unit between the maternal blood and the developing fetus or the developing embryo. Okay. So we are just checking out the functions of placenta. Placenta facilitate the supply of oxygen and also nutrients from the mother's blood to the fetus or the developing embryo. Clear? And also placenta collect the carbon dioxide and also waste products which are produced in the fetus or the baby back into the mother's blood, and the mother blood will through the mother's excretory products it also will be excreted out. Is that clear? Okay. So placenta is connected to the embryo by means of umbilical cord. Umbilical cord. So placenta is connected to the embryo by the umbilical cord, and umbilical cord facilitate the supply of everything from the mother's blood to the fetus and also from the fetus to the mother's blood. Clear? And also placenta is act as an endocrine gland. You know what is endocrine gland, right? They are the ductless glands, right? So they act as an endocrine gland and they produce certain hormone. Human chorionic gonadotropin, human placental lactogen, then estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen, and then they will progesterone is also produced. So placenta produce these what hormones? Human chorionic gonadotropin, human placental lactogen, and estrogen and what? Progesterone. In the later phase of this pregnancy, ovary produces another hormone known as relaxin. So this is produced only in the later stage of pregnancy. Okay. And also in the pregnancy period, see, these hormones are produced only when the female is pregnant. So for the test of pregnancy and all, they would check for the presence of HCG in order to tell that whether the female is pregnant or not. Okay, so it's crystal clear that all these hormones are produced only at the time of pregnancy. So along with these hormones such as estrogen, then progesterone, prolactin, then cortisol, thyroxine, and all are produced in an increased amount during the pregnancy. Why they are produced in an increased amount? Yeah, they are produced in an increased amount because they are very much essential for the maintenance and support of that pregnancy and also for the development of the fetal baby. Clear? Okay. So immediately we were discussing about the chorionic villi and the respective hormones secreted by the placenta. Okay. And also trophoblast. What happens to the trophoblast? Immediately after implantation, one more thing is that after trophoblast, what is that? Inner cell mass. So what is happening to inner cell mass? Inner cell mass. Soon after the implantation, they will get differentiated into 3 layers. Outer layer is known as ectoderm. Ectoderm. Inner layer is known as endoderm. Inner layer is known as endoderm. And the middle layer is known as mesoderm. Mesoderm. Clear? So middle layer is seen between the outer layer and the inner layer. So these 3 forms the 3 germ layers. 3 germ layers and give rise to all tissues and organs that is necessary for the baby development. Clear? And also one thing we have to check that the inner cell mass is having a special type of cell known as stem cells. These stem cells have the totipotency or the potency to give rise to new cells. So that is why inner cell mass is giving rise to the tissues and organs with the help of these 3 germ layers. Clear? Okay. So that's all about the differentiation happening in the inner cell mass and changes that happening in the trophoblast. Okay. So you know that what is the gestation period of human beings? Yes, it is 9 months. So during the first month itself, heart will be formed and it is the first sign of growth of the fetus. So in the first month itself, heart is formed, which forms the first sign of growth of fetus. See, the growth of fetus can be detected by hearing the heartbeat and all by using the instruments, stethoscope or such instruments by the doctors. Okay, and you know that, I hope you know that the whole 9 months gestation is being categorized to 3 trimesters, right? First trimester, second trimester and third trimester, which include first 3 months. Next, this is 0 to 3, then 3 to 6, then 6 to 9 months. This is how the 9 months are divided into 3 trimester. First trimester, second trimester and the third trimester. So in the first month we discussed heart is being found. And in the end of the second month, by the end of the second month, the limbs and digits will be formed. Limbs and digits will be formed. By the end of the first trimester, what is first trimester? Yes, by the end of the third month, major, that is the 12th week. Okay, so major organs will be formed by the end of the first trimester. Okay, and also when we are checking the 5th month, that is in the second trimester, 5th month, the first movement of the baby can be felt. First movement of the baby can be felt. And also all the digits, appearance of hair over the head can be seen. And by the end of the second trimester. That is, by the end of the 6th month, we can see the body will be covered with small hairs. Eyelids would start to separate. Eyelashes will be formed. Eyebrows will start to form. Likewise, small hair like growth and all will be formed. And likewise, it will be going, and by the end of the 3rd trimester, that is by the end of 9th month, the baby will be ready for the childbirth or the delivery. Clear? Okay, so that's all about the pregnancy and the embryonic development. That is very well clearly given in your textbook. Okay, so we are moving to the last portion of our chapter, that is parturition and lactation. You know what is the meaning of parturition? What do you mean by parturition? Sorry, this is not A, this is I. Parturition. Parturition. Parturition means what? So the vigorous contraction and relaxation. Vigorous contraction of the uterine muscles after the fully developed baby. We discussed now the baby is fully developed, right? So after the fully developed baby, what is the next thing should happen? Parturition. What is parturition? The vigorous contract over the uterine muscles would lead to the expulsion of the baby from the uterus to outside through the birth canal. That is known as parturition or the childbirth. Clear? The child delivery. So typically biologically it is termed as parturition. Is that clear? So this parturition is induced by a complex neuroendocrine mechanism. So we can check it out, the neuroendocrine mechanism. So the first signal for the parturition is sent by the fully developed baby itself. Yeah, the first signal is formed from the originated from the fully developed baby. So that causes that impulsion of the signal causes the placenta to release certain mild contraction, to have some mild contraction over the uterine wall. So first of all, the baby will produce some sort of signals which induces the placenta. Also the placenta causes some mild contractions over the uterine muscles. Due to the mild contraction of uterus, this induces the release of oxytocin hormone from the maternal pituitary gland. Clear? Now, what does this oxytocin create? See, this mild contraction created by the placenta is known as, sorry to explain, I missed that, fetal ejection reflex. Clear? Placenta is causing mild contractions. That is known as fetal ejection reflex. That fetal ejection reflex will constitute the release of oxytocin from the pituitary gland of mother. And the release of pituitary gland, the release of oxytocin from the pituitary gland again causes strong contraction on the uterine muscles. Again, that contraction again causes the release of oxytocin. So this will continue. This contraction will causes the release of oxytocin from the pituitary gland. So this is a cycle. This will continues and that will result in the expulsion of the baby from the uterus. Is it clear? So the fetal ejection reflex causes the release of oxytocin from the pituitary, which causes further strong contraction of uterus. Again, that causes the release, much more release of oxytocin. So this will continue and that would result in the expulsion of the baby. Is that clear? So parturition had happened. Now we are going to see the last topic, that is lactation. So meanwhile, when the lady is pregnant or when the female is pregnant, several changes or several differentiation is also happening in the mammary gland of that female. So, and that mammary glands would be ready to eject milk by means of lactation, that we had discussed how the structural differentiation in the female reproductive system, right? Mammary gland. So the mammary gland will undergo differentiation and will be ready to eject milk so as to feed the newborn baby. So the first milk that is ejected from the mammary gland soon after the parturition is known as colostrum. So it would be an yellow colored fluid and it is immensely rich with antibodies, and it is absolutely essential to feed this colostrum to the newborn baby, as it contains tremendous antibody which is quite necessary to build the defensive or immunity power of the newborn baby. And also all the doctors and health workers and all, everyone recommend that breastfeeding is the best food for the newborn babies, correct? So with this we had completed that chapter. I hope you had followed the chapter. Only a small 2 topics were left and that we had covered. So read your textbook and make up the notes, and if you're finding any doubt you can contact me. Okay, so for time being I'm bidding goodbye and we can see with another chapter. Okay, ta-ta.